Thank you, Danica. Danica was in the news just then, mentioned that Tony Sheldon, the National Secretary of the Transport Workers Union, had asked some questions about the federal government decision to scrap the Truck Driver Tribunal. We wanted to talk to Tony about the fact that they did the mass rally outside the Wesfarmers AGM in Coles today, and might also take up that particular story with him on the Truck Drivers Tribunal. Hadn't picked up on that angle of the story up until now, but thank you for that, Danica. Now, National Secretary of the TWU, Tony Sheldon, has said today that supermarket giant Coles is responsible for an increased risk for truck crashes on Australian roads by forcing the drivers to speed and drive unsafe hours and also carry overweight loads. And we're just trying to get through to Tony at the moment. As I said, he made the comments while speaking outside the Wesfarmers AGM in Perth today, and he'd gathered along with truck drivers and many family members of truck drivers to really voice their concerns to Coles, and we wonder whether the Wesfarmers bosses and the Wesfarmers shareholders were actually listening. And we've tracked him down. Hello, Tony Sheldon.
Oh, g'day, Rod. How are you this afternoon?
Yeah, good, mate. I want to talk to you about the Coles situation shortly, but I just heard in Danica's 4 o'clock news there that you made some comments about the federal government decision to scrap the Truck Drivers Tribunal. Can you just walk us through that firstly?
Yeah, what's happened is the government has said before the election that they were going to review it just a couple of weeks beforehand, and that tribunal holds major retailers in particular that costs accountable for their supply chains. And what happens is when you contract work out, you chunk out of it each step of the way when you contract it again and again. And in the trucking industry, you've got low margins, and what it means is you can't maintain your vehicle, can't maintain your trucks, and you sweat drivers and trucks. And the federal government has said that they don't believe there's any connection between the owner-driver getting paid to be able to afford to maintain their vehicle and safety, which is sort of disingenuous.
That's a bizarre thing to say, isn't it?
Well, we've got it in, unfortunately, we've not only had it verbally and publicly, and with even widows have received the exact same comments from Erica Betts, and particularly frustrating because to the credit of some within we know that they have a great deal of sympathy for truck drivers and have spoken out on over the years, but the government's taking a very foolish position regarding the sorts of pressure that people like Coles can apply to their supply chains, and it's galling for Erica Betts to take the side of Coles against small business people, struggling companies on low margins when Coles is making, at any time, let alone when Coles are making record profits, and good luck to them. I'm not criticising them for that, but they're also making the biggest retail margins in the world, which we're paying for. And if you're a truck driver or a road user, you're paying for it, unfortunately, in a deadly way.
Okay, are you also going to target Woolies in this campaign, or is this specifically aimed at Coles and Wesfarmers?
Well, we're saying it to the entire retail industry, and I've got to give Woolworths some credit, not because they're getting it completely right, but at least they're engaging, trying to find the answers to deal with a very complex supply chain challenges. And but on the other hand, we've got Coles saying we won't meet, we won't discuss, we won't try to resolve because, as they said at the AGM today, well, they're just subcontractors. That's none of our business.
Is it all about what you see as impossible demands in terms of telling your driver you've got to leave here at this time and get to so-and-so in such and such a time? Is it just impossible demand?
Well, it's a combination of impossible demands on scheduling, and also delaying truck drivers when they arrive at a distribution centre. And because Coles doesn't have to pay waiting time under any at this point, and they may have to under this tribunal, it's still in existence. That's worrying Coles. It appears to be worrying the federal government. If they have to pay waiting time, there's a 15-hour-a-week difference between trucking companies and truck owner drivers who get paid waiting time and the amount of hours you wait. So if Coles had to pay waiting time, there'd be less fatigue by 15 hours on average per week. Now, when you go to the second question, and that is that what is Coles doing about providing a productive and efficient service to their business and the community, what they do is they then sweat the trucks by paying substandard rates, so drivers have to work extraordinary hours, forego maintenance. And we had a study only in 2012, where over 40% of drivers had foregone some maintenance in the previous 12 months to meet just the economic pressure supplied in the coal supply chain. And now we've got 46% of drivers, and these are sort of coal statistics when you say them quickly, but 46% of drivers are missing rest breaks. But when you think we have 10 times the national average of fatalities of any other industry, in the trucking industry, we have substantially higher figures for serious injuries. Someone's dad not coming home at night, and someone's loved one on the road is a fatality.
What about Woolies? Do they pay waiting time for their drivers?
We're saying to Woolworths as well, and that they should be paying waiting time as well, and also working through the scheduling issues. I don't think that any retailer should be left off the mark on this. But what's happened is, as we've seen with a lot of the who's the most aggressive in the market, and it's Coles. They in an inquiry just in front of this tribunal trying to get rid of just a matter of weeks ago. They said they were going to drive their transport cost down by a further 5%. Well, we might say that's fair enough. They want to get things more cheap. But the margins for the trucking industry are the same margins and rates they were getting 40 years ago. Yes, smaller trucks, but 40 years ago. So what trucking companies do is they outsource the work to try to keep the work, and then find people having to do extraordinary hours and sweating the labour in the trucks. And this isn't something that's just sort of out of the back of my pocket or just something I dreamt up last night. It's in these studies, but also it's from coroner's reports, government inquiries of different political complexions around the country, both in states and nationally, for the last 25 years. But Coles continually refused to accept any responsibility on the evidence. The evidence says quite the opposite of what they're portraying. This is about cold, hard cash at any cost, and it's an appalling way for a company to operate.
Tony, can I just ask you to stay on hold there for a moment, because Alan from Double View has called in and is a truckie and wants to join in the conversation on this. Hello, Alan. Tony's listening.
Yeah, how you going?
Yeah, good.
What he's saying is totally true about Coles. Like, you can have a 4 o'clock booking in the afternoon and you'd be lucky to get out at 8 o'clock at night.
And how about your waiting time? What sort of average waiting time are you spending, Alan?
Well, you're looking at 4 hours most times, sometimes up to 5. Whereas Woolies are pretty good. Sometimes they're a bit slow, but they're in and out within an hour and a half at Woolies.
Okay, and where are you now, mate?
I'm down at Freo.
Okay, are you loading or unloading?
I'm finished for the day.
Okay, good on you. Thanks for the call, Alan, and in support of what Tony Sheldon is telling us. Tony, I hope you're able to hear Alan's point of view there.
Yes, I did, Rod, and Alan's hit the nail on the head. You've got a company that doesn't have to pay the cost for waiting time, so drivers are waiting, doing long hours, having to wait extraordinary hours out of their control about how many hours when they get to these Coles operations, because as they said at the AGM today, we don't care, we're not going to take responsibility, but we're going to use our finances to get the cheapest and the nastiest out of the trucking industry. And that's not a combination that works for the community. And, companies, if they don't meet the community's expectations, and I would think being responsible is one of those, which they've refused to today, that's when government's supposed to step in, and they should be stepping in, not talking about getting rid of protection.
The tribunal, yeah.
The tribunal.
Part of your release today said that truck crashes affect the entire travelling public, and you're absolutely right. You did quote a number of 330 people dying in truck-related accidents each year. Now, we did ask Wesfarmers to come on for comment, but they have decided that they aren't going to. They did release a bit of a statement, though, and their numbers are very different to yours. Coles is claiming that deaths in the road transport sector plunged from 58 in 2607 to 30 in 2010-11. How come those numbers are so different for your 330?
Well, two things. Because what Coles have diabolically done is that they haven't looked at the National Transport Commission report, and they know those figures they're putting out a misrepresentation of the truth. The National Transport Commission report last year clearly stepped out 330, and since then we've had 346, which is, it's 346 fathers and mothers and children that have been killed in trucking incidents. I don't call them accidents, because accidents are an act of God. That's something that happens outside our control, but these are instances, many of them, which could be avoided if Coles took responsibility. And trying to split the hairs over people losing their lives is galling, absolutely galling. When I find myself through the year having to go to funerals for truck drivers that have been sweated literally to their death.
Yeah, pretty ordinary performance from Wesfarmers in not coming on to discuss it. But anyway, thanks for your time, Tony. And hopefully the campaign is going to count. And Woolies is doing a little bit better than Coles. Maybe might make you think next time you're going shopping. Do I go there with the big W, or do I go over here with the C? It's up to you, but you might make a choice. It's 18.